Hello, my name is Charles Lake, and this is the war on parroting waged by the states. I'm dealing with the state of Connecticut, and on November 4th, I have to appeal the decision that was made by a corrupt judge who was sitting in 2014 and 15, who heard my case, along with the corrupt assistant attorney general. The judge's name was Judge Faso of Connecticut, and the assistant attorney general was Carol Wong. And I'd like to take you through some stuff to show you exactly why they are corrupt, and why everybody knows that they're corrupt, even the federal government, but nobody's doing anything about it. And it ends up being an unwritten tax on parents, and a lot of other states are using this. It's not just Connecticut. But I've been fighting this for over 40 years. In 1994, I thought I was done with it, but the state of Connecticut kept billing me. And let me take you through. Also, the one thing I want to mention is I sent the last broadcast to all the news stations in Connecticut. And I followed up with a couple of them. WFSB Channel 3, I believe it is. On August 8th, I called the gentleman because I never got a reply about the email. And he told me that his viewers don't want to know that the state is corrupt when it comes to CPS and child support enforcement, and therefore they will not do a story. And when I went to pick up my transcript at the courthouse in Danbury on White Street, Channel 12 was there, and I handed the gentleman my card to show him that he can go on the website. I have two different websites, told him exactly how to get there, because I also fight to get the polystyrene and plastic off due to its toxicity. So let me get going now, and I'm gonna, if you go to U1, U2, U4, and U5, U3 is up here. You can follow, oh, you can't follow mice, I'm sorry. Here they are, right here, but this is number 3. But let's go to number 1 right now, and it shows, this was done by Annie Stevenson. She was a reporter. On March 11, 2014, Connecticut courts impose outrageous costs on disabled families. And she goes through quite a bit here. So you can get this from my website. Now we go to number 2. This is done February 1st, 2014 by Ann Stevens. Connecticut Task Force spars with parents over billing fraud in family court. Okay, and again, you can get this off my website, and she's pretty detailed about it. This is from February 4th, 2015. This is when the federal government, this publication is from the Hartford Courant. And it turns around and says that corruption within Connecticut, persistent high-profile corruption within Connecticut. And it don't give you much facts, but, you know, they don't want nobody to know, right? Now, I got a timeline some years back that shows from 89 through 2003, there's multiple violations by the family court, children and families under federal oversight, okay? So the feds haven't done anything about this. I'd like to, this is not on the website, but you can get it. All you have to do is put Ann Stevenson's name in, plus the state of Connecticut. She testified January 9, 2014. And this testimony, it's 51 pages. And she goes through everything that she learned and how we're being overbilled and double billed and so forth and so on. And there's many more articles in here that you can look up. And so I encourage you to do that, because this has happened not only in Connecticut but everywhere else. The states are making money and they don't want to stop taking the money. So this here, let me get to the top of this. Mimi Gomez was on the Judiciary Committee in the state of Connecticut. And she was fighting to get these corrupt judges off the bench. And if we go down here to the conclusion, it tells you that she was removed from the Judiciary Committee in 2018. And basically because she was able to get a couple of judges off the bench, evidently one too many. Actually, she didn't get enough judges off the bench. Fasso's still there. There are many judges that refuse to look at briefs and exhibits before they hand down your sentence. So they have no idea what the hell you're there for. And we're going to get this in a minute. In 2014, 2015, I was in front of Judge Fasso and Assistant District Attorney Carolyn Wong, and they refused to do anything but send me out to the child support enforcement crew, who says, we don't give a goddamn what your paperwork says, but we are going to make you pay this bill. We don't care if you're double billed or overbilled. We don't care. It's not our business to care. Okay? So that's what Mrs. Mimi was trying to do, is get these judges, but evidently they thought it was a little bit too much. This is the transcript that I picked up from my August 3rd, 2002. And if you look at this, you can see that nowhere when the judge or the assistant attorney general was speaking, which I couldn't hear very well because it was a telephonic court hearing, and they were away from the mic, so all I heard was mumbling. And I'm an old man. My hearing ain't that great. I had to take jobs where I was around heavy equipment and everything, so, you know, but, you know, Mr. Lake, inaudible. It means that this was a scam hearing, is what it was. And all they wanted to do is bring up res judicata, which means it's already settled because it was settled under corrupt law. Remember this? Where is it? Right here, exhibit. Remember this? The feds were in there trying to clean the place out. But, you know, they do admit in here that my children were off assistance because it wasn't my wife that had them, it was my mother who didn't raise me. So they admit that my children were off assistance in 1994. I can't place where it was. So, and this case was supposed to be heard on March 30th in front of Judge Price, but I dropped the transcript off on March 2nd, and the court lost the transcript, so the case couldn't be heard. And I had to fight like hell to get it heard again. So, you know, if you want to go through, it does tell you my children were off child support in 1994. And I want to show you this is the brief that I filed with the court. And it's if you go down in 1994, let me bring this up. This was my final bill in 1994. I had 2 child support cases. I had one custody of one child in 1986 from the state of Connecticut, which we'll go into at a later date. But anyway, this is the bill, okay? Now, if we go back here and we go to the bottom, well, not quite to the bottom. Okay, so in 1994, that's what they said I owed. Where does it say here? It's got a date. I don't see the date. This was in 2000 and something. 2003. Right here. October 4th, 2003. They said I owed $11,284.45. Now remember, my children are off child care. I mean, they're emancipated. They're no longer in the system. Okay. So, if we go here, this is 2006. Now it went from 11,000 to 17,000. 2014, it goes up to 1710. And then, so that is where that one's at. Now my son Stephen, if we go back to, this is for my son $333, but if you look at in 2006, oh wait a minute, the wrong place, AA, 2004, they said I owed $524.01. Now in 1994 it was, but that, everything back there is a fraud too. So if we go back here, and BB goes to it's the same amount. Okay, then CC, and this is 2006. Now it's up to $4,394.96. So how is that not being corrupt? And I am not the only one that thinks this. Okay, I got this in the email. I'm the Foundation of Child Victims and Family Courts. And if you go to the bottom, you can read the whole thing, but it basically says that states are using parents to fill their slush funds. The cash flow that they bring in is more of a direct way of how they place the children. My mother didn't work. My father was retired and I was working. So my mother first took my children and she was living in a project where you can still look it up, 385 Main Street, Danbury, Connecticut. And there's people that ask questions, is it still as violent as it used to be? Cops used to get shot in the face. I was raised there. I didn't know no difference. But this is something that, people want to really look into, because this is, everybody knows this is going on. Federal government don't want to touch it. I've spoken to congressman who is now the lieutenant governor of the state of New York because he left his the congressman's position. But I fought with them for 2 years to try to get something done. They said they sent my information to the U.S. Attorney General's office. I never heard anything, and that was 2-3 years ago. And the judge, well, we are sitting here. Oh, wrong one. Here it is. In the transcript, he screams about me sitting waiting 7 years before I got in front of him again. I was waiting for the federal government to get off its backside and get up there and do something about the corruption and fraud in the child support. And this is uncalled for. This day and age, people getting their children taken away. Hell, mine was back in the 70s. So this has been happening since the 70s. But you know, they keep saying it's they say the most appropriate or the best thing for the children. This ain't the best thing for the children. This is how they're going to line their pockets and make money on a statewide corruption fraud. And the state of Connecticut is so bound in it that other states have been using their model. So this is something that, because the media won't touch it, their listeners don't want to hear about it. I believe their listeners do. But I thank you for listening, and I hope this will help you. And we got to do something about this, so I'm going to be doing more and more. I hope you have a good day. Thank you for listening.